Hello and welcome back to the Jet Press Podcast. My name is Justin Fried, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friend Mike Luciano. Mike, we've made it. We've made it to the offseason. The offseason is here, my friend. This is the time that we shine. This is the time that the Jets always win. We don't have to feel sad when we're in the offseason. How you feeling, buddy? What's going on?
It's a time for optimism, which is something that I have bemoaned the lack of. Not the lack of, but I guess the prevalence of moping, the prevalence of Eeyoring, for lack of a better word, where it's the Jets, Woody Johnson sucks, they're never going to win. All right, how does that not get old, Justin, doing that? So you know what? In the spirit of rebirthing anew, even though Aaron Glenn is staying for his second year, I don't want to hear the word Harbaugh or McCarthy on this stream. I'm not going to take well to it.
We don't want to talk about
the guy who couldn't win with prime Lamar Jackson's going to win with Dante Moore. Okay.
I do think, Mike, as just a very quick, we're not going to talk about it, but I do think if Harbaugh told Woody Johnson, hey, I want to coach the Jets, I think the Jets would fire Aaron Glenn.
I think that would never happen anyway. But anyway.
It wouldn't. But I think that'd be like one of the only like Godfather type head coach candidates that could become available.
We'll get into some quick Jets news hitters and our big offseason plan to fix this wretched team. As Chew donates 5 memberships. Shout out.
Shout out
off strong in the new year.
Shout out, not MF Doom, MF Chew. Sorry.
We'll talk about that. And basically, before we go on to that, I just want to say, like, Pete Carroll really scared me off any of these, like, Harbaugh, McCarthy, older guys looking for another chance. Like, Harbaugh could be Pete Carroll just as easily as he ends up being the guy who fixes everything.
He could also be Sean Payton.
Could be Sean Payton. That even started. If John Harbaugh started like how Sean Payton started in Denver coming off this year, you think fans will take kindly to that?
No, but as long as it works, right?
It didn't work early on. That was the thing. But anyway,
we're the 1 seed now. Anyway, John, what's going on? John Mundock's here. What's up, fellas? How you doing?
All right, well, let's before we get into some of that, thank you guys for joining. You know where to find us on Apple, Google, Spotify, Overcast, wherever you get your podcasts. We are there. If you go to YouTube, which we're gonna have a ton of new stuff this year on YouTube.
Yep.
To see all that, like this, that'll bump us up. Subscribe, that'll bump us up. Join the membership, that'll bump us up. Because we're gonna really be pumping out a bunch of stuff, as you've probably seen with some of Justin's shorts. It's gonna be hard to imagine a day where some content does not go up on this site. So keep it pinned right here so you get all the latest updates. Before we do our big offseason plan, as we get Jeff asking an interesting Kirk Cousins, we'll get there. Yeah. But first, we want to do one quick draft hitter because this relates to the Jets. It seems, barring something unforeseen, if Dante Moore declares that Fernando Mendoza or Dante Moore will be a New York Jet. But there is one other quarterback that I think could be the quote-unquote future if they take him as such, and that's Ty Simpson, who just declared for the NFL draft. Very weird evaluation. Mm-hmm. If I had to guess right now, I think he probably goes in the same range where Jackson Dart went last year, that kind of end of the first round thing. Because as we outside of Tyler Shuck and Jalen Hurts, like using a second-round pick on a quarterback or a third-round pick on a quarterback, teams don't really do it anymore because you want that extra option, and B, as the third-round pick, you're not guaranteed next to anything going forward. So I think a team will probably take Simpson in the first round. I don't think he's a first-round player. As Chew says, no Harbaugh talk. We want to kind of stay away. That's not going to happen.
It's just not going to happen.
It's just not going to happen. So
if John Harbaugh told Woody Johnson tomorrow, I want to coach the Jets, I do think the Jets would fire Aaron Glenn and hire John Harbaugh. It's just not happening. It's not realistic. It seems like the Giants might be
Super Bowl champion saying, I want to go to the Jets.
Right.
We should do that immediately. That won't turn out badly, right? Number 8.
Oh, see, well, because people keep pointing to the Vrabel, Gerard Mayo situation, and it's just very different because the Patriots had it on good authority that Vrabel, who was, had many ties to the organization, wanted to coach Patriots.
And Drake May.
Yeah, yes, but I'm just specifically talking about like why they fired Gerard Mayo and hired Mike Vrabel, and why that doesn't really apply to the Jets because there is no Mike Vrabel caliber coach who is
Aaron Glenn was the franchise legend coming back. That was
kind of the Gerard Mayo is what I'm saying. And then they don't have a Vrabel, right? John Harbaugh, if he wanted to coach the Jets, would be that. There's no indication that would be the case.
So some quick hitters on Simpson. I still think he goes end of the first round. I think he's probably a second round prospect grading wise.
Yeah.
I think he could be in play at 16. If there's no more, I wouldn't hate it. Because especially if you're using the number 2 pick on like an Arvell Reese or Ruben Bain type prospect to kind of lead with. So the thing about Simpson, though, is he's a very weird prospect because the things he does really well are stuff pro evaluators want to see. He's very smart in terms of pre-snap dive. They asked him to do a lot pre-snap. He has really a pretty live arm for someone his size. Is the audio cutting out? I'm sorry if it is.
You sound fine to me, but it could be a restream bug because
Yeah, it could be. You know what? I'm just gonna go reload really quick. So
okay, I'll give my spiel on Simpson then while you're doing that. So I was going to say very similar things to what Mike said. I don't necessarily, full disclosure, I don't grade prospects. Like I just don't have the time to do that, as Mike pops in and leaves immediately. But I would say that if I had grades on prospects, he would be like a second round prospect for me. He's not in play at 2. What are you doing, bud? He's not in play at 2. I don't think that'll be even a consideration. Even if it's trade down, I really don't think he's in play. 16 is probably too rich for my blood, Mike. It really just like I was pretty high on him earlier in the season when he was playing well.
I'm being raptured into heaven right now. Let me go and take care of that.
But I don't know how much of it was injury related with Simpson or not, because it's not really been fully disclosed. I know there's stuff out there about how he had the back injury. I think his dad said that he was playing through it with a herniated disc, as Mike is saved from the rapture. But his play really deteriorated as the year went on. And again, a lot of that could be injury related, but it's a bad sign for me. I would say it's a pretty significant red flag when you have 15 career college starts and you play your worst football over the final, like two. I think his 2 worst games of the year were in 2 of the last 3 games of the season, which was he played well against Oklahoma, but Georgia and Indiana were real tough. Those were tough games for Ty Simpson. And just when you have that little experience, it's hard to sell me on being a first round guy when you play your worst football down the stretch. I wouldn't mind him if, say, Dante Moore doesn't declare and the Jets go the Kyler Murray route and you still want to invest in the quarterback position, maybe you take him in the second round. I wouldn't be opposed to that if he's still there.
No, I don't think Kyler would not prevent you from still investing in quarterback in the draft.
Correct. I don't think Simpson is there on day 2. I do think he goes round 1, but I wouldn't feel comfortable investing really any round 1 draft capital in Ty Simpson at this time. I was higher on him earlier in the year. Just not at a point now where I'm using a first, because if you use a first round pick on him this year, you're basically that's an opportunity cost because you're not taking a first round quarterback next year is what you're doing if you're drafting Ty Simpson. If you
says I don't want to draft a quarterback with a bad back, way too chronic. That is true.
Yeah, and he's small too. Like the size also would be concerned if he has the back issues already. So I think he can take him in the second round if you want to just throw a bunch of assets at the quarterback position. I'm not super high on him right now.
Well, here's the defense of Simpson that I was saying earlier before I got called up to the heavens, apparently. So the audio listeners like, what the hell's happened? A big ray of light came in through the window and obscured the screen. But
I got raptured is what happened.
The arm for his size is pretty impressive. There are guys 3 inches taller and 20 pounds heavier that just don't have the same level of arm talent that he has, and you got to go account for that. Sure. They ask him to do a lot pre-snap, which Fernando Mendoza doesn't do as much pre-snap as Ty Simpson. Dante Moore doesn't do as much pre-snap as Ty Simpson. I think what we're finding out, too, is Austrian Jet fan with 10 memberships.
What a guy.
What a guy. We're in the season of giving here on the Jet Press because we got 2 guys who have donated memberships. So thank you for that, Austrian Jet fan.
He's funding our eventual trip to Innsbruck or Vienna.
Salzburg, yes. So here, the other thing that I like, Happy New Year, dudes. Well, thank you, Austrian Jet fan. Bionic dudes. I like that.
Bionic dude. I don't think anyone's ever called me a bionic dude.
Yeah. Wasn't that a show, The Bionic Man or The $6 Million Man? He was bionic. That's what it was. He was a robot. Ask your parents. They remember that show.
Sure.
But the thing about Simpson not to excuse the problems with pressure because they are there, but that is a common problem with a lot of young quarterback prospects. And really, you don't ever get great at that. You can mitigate that. No one's ever great against pressure. It's just how well you mitigate it. Really going on in the year, it really crystallized. I thought this was a good hire when they made it. Ryan Grubb, as an offensive coordinator, is not very good. He was great at Washington, goes to Seattle, complete failure, goes back to college. You'd think he'd hit a home run there. Just out of whack. The way they used the running game was weird. Outside of Caden Proctor, that offensive line, I think, was not very good, which for Alabama is very surprising. And then when you get a guy who's not like a super athlete like Simpson, it mitigates it. Honestly, if you just judge guys based on drop back, survey, throw the ball, he's really not that far off from Moore and Mendoza. In fact, you can argue in a lot of situations he was as good or better on like certain routes, certain throws. So Simpson's something you definitely got to consider. I think, honestly, if the Jets didn't get a top 2 pick, I would much rather, in this situation, take Simpson with the Colts pick than consider moving up for Mendoza or more, because I just think this roster has so many holes. But now that they have number 2 and they could get Mendoza or more, the calculus has changed a little bit. I wouldn't go buy a Simpson jersey, a green Simpson jersey just yet, but everybody's going to go look at whoever drafts Ty Simpson as kind of the bronze medal consolation prize if you missed out on the top 2 guys. I don't think he's that. And I think that he's a guy where if you put the right, really, this is a guy where I think he might be very scheme dependent in the NFL. But I think I like Tanner Engstrand's scheme. I think you like Tanner Engstrand's scheme. It's 75% of Ben Johnson schematically. And if he could apply that to a quarterback that actually wants to throw the ball, which the Jets had 2 guys this year who did not, then I think there's a pathway to success.
It's funny evaluating Simpson, and we'll get into the mock off season in a moment, but it's funny when you're evaluating him because normally when you're talking about an Alabama quarterback, it's the Alabama quarterback getting propped up by their situation. It's the exact opposite this year. Like, of the top 3 quarterbacks in this class, Ty Simpson had the least help by a wide margin. I believe Alabama led the SEC in drops. Their offensive line outside of Caden Proctor was not good, like you mentioned.
Ryan Williams was their big target. He regressed.
Right. They have no running game. The running game was non-existent for a large portion of the season. So I guess like on the thing about like him working his way into pressure, I do think that is a concern with him. But again, the situation that he's in, the offensive line, like, and the lack of a running game, it's just a weird evaluation. That said,
not to be too much like, oh, it's the OC and the play caller and the O-line. I know that's the common, my quarterback is bad, but I don't want to admit it defense, but it really applies here for him.
It does. That said, nearly 20% pressure to sack rate is concerning. He struggled against the best.
That's like Fields level for guys that don't know the numbers.
That's very bad. Like, he struggled significantly against the best defense that he played. He had a stretch where he had about, like, I think 11 sacks in a 3-week span. It's not good. And I know the offensive line is not great, but a lot of you watch some of that tape. He works himself into pressure. And for a guy who's smaller like he is and has the back issue stuff, like it's concerning to me. I don't think I would like if the Jets were picking 6, like in your hypothetical, I would rather trade up for one of Moore or Mendoza than take Simpson in the first round. I don't think he's a first round caliber prospect. It's not someone that I want to use that kind of an asset on and prevent you from taking a quarterback next year. I think it's like he has the traits that are interesting and intriguing. If he had another year as a starter, this would be a different evaluation. But it's really he's had 6, 7, 8 games in his career that not every stream, dude. How do I do it every?
It's on purpose. You're doing this.
It's not. I swear, it's not on purpose. But he has like 7. I'll say 7, 8 games, right? That I think are good games in his college career. That's really tough to sell me on a guy as a first round caliber prospect. But either way, I don't think he's going to be in play for the Jets, right? I really don't. There's a chance he is, but I'd be surprised. You want to jump?
Two more comments before we go on to the mock thing. Chew, I'm no expert, but Simpson seemed to panic when under pressure.
Definitely a problem.
Yes, but to a degree, that how many young quarterbacks do that, and how many of them get coached out of it with the right way? Like, look at Caleb Williams under pressure last year to this year, because that was a problem with him at USC too. I'm not saying that he's Caleb Williams, not by a long shot, but that seems like something that you can work with him on. Doesn't mean he's doomed to failure forever. And then Zachary Berner, Ty Simpson will need to sit if drafted. That I agree with. I wouldn't start him as a rookie.
Yes. Yeah, my rebuttal to that would be I don't think any of the top 3 quarterbacks in this class have like anything near Caleb Williams' traits, right? And if you're comparing Simpson to Moore and Mendoza, I think Simpson works his way into trouble more than the other two. Moore does it a little bit, and Moore's actually done it a little bit recently against a couple of like really good defenses. I'm very curious. I'm so curious to see how he plays against Indiana. Like, if we're going to have the Dante Moore discussion in a second, I imagine, because I imagine in at least one of our mock offseason, the Jets are drafting Dante Moore. I am so curious to see, because I thought his game against Alabama was probably his worst game of the year earlier this season. Very big opportunity for him. If he struggles again against Indiana, dude, I don't even know if he's in this draft, legitimately. Like, I think that could be a reason that he doesn't even declare.
See, I see that, and I see Zachary Berner. Do we want him to win? I think this game has no bearing.
I disagree entirely.
I honestly think his mind is made up already.
I mean, I don't know. We're not in his head.
Yeah, I know we're Jets fans and we want the quarterback and all that. Practically, for him, other than just, I want to go win a national championship, which gives you bupkis in terms of helping your pro stock. You're already could be a 2. What do you want to go from 2 to 1 in a tougher class? There's very few practical reasons for him to turn down the money he would get if the Jets pick him number 2 and go back.
Everyone thinks differently. Everyone's brain works. Everyone has different values, right? I think there's a world where Dante Moore wants to go back and win a national championship, knows it's a really good situation for him, and if he goes back, he'll probably do well. I know the OC, he doesn't have Will Stein anymore, but I think he knows that. And I think part of him also is aware, like, he's only 20 years old. He doesn't have a ton of like starting experience. If he wants to improve his like standing as a quarterback, if he wants to improve himself as a player and try to win a national championship, and also you get 10 million in NIL, I don't think that's a bad deal. I don't think it'll have anything to do with trying to avoid the Jets, as some have tried to say. I don't think that's a significant factor here.
When they're bad again next year, and then they come back in 2027 with their first and get them anyway.
3 first to use. Like, they absolutely could still get them the next year.
So I can run all you want, Dante.
But anyway, I think that's a great segue. Mike, we're going to start with you for this, but we're going to do a full Jets mock offseason here. We both
are.
Our own separate mock drafts. We kind of went through our own little like mock free agency period, and we're going to put out the depth charts, essentially. What we are just guesstimating the 2026 depth chart will look like come week 1 for the Jets. Mike, we're going to start with you. We're going to go quarterback first, right?
Yep.
So we'll kind of like go through each position and explain why they're there, right? If it's a new player, we'll say, oh, this is how they're acquired. It was a draft, free agency, a trade, whatever. If it's a returning player, we'll explain that as well. So, Mike, left guy, start us off.
Famous left guy.
Who your starting quarterback for the 2026 Jets is come week 1.
Well, I got a starter and a backup lined up. As Chew says, to segue into it nicely, he could break his ankle and get drafted on day 3. What the Jets should do is get like a burner phone, send him a picture of Matt Barkley and Drew Aller every single day until he declares. And go, you want that? You want that to be you? I bet Drew Aller's kicking himself for not declaring.
Oh, for sure.
Exactly. So, yeah, do you want that? So, I think Moore's in this draft. I think if he comes out, he's pretty much guaranteed a top 2 pick. I think that's hard to turn down. I still think Mendoza's the pick at number 1, irrespective of what happens in the playoff games.
Sure.
I think he's number 1. That leaves number 2 right to the Jets. And here's why I'm going to put Moore as the starter.
Interesting. Okay.
Here's why.
About if you were to have him a starter or the backup.
Not necessarily week 1, but I think he would start most of the games this year. That's why I'm making him the starter. Because I went back even in the last 7 years, and I tried to find who are quarterbacks that were picked in the first round and just straight up sat the whole year. And I found 2. Jordan Love, who had Aaron Rodgers off of MVPs. He's not playing there. And Trey Lance, who played like 3 college games. So obviously he wasn't ready. All these other guys, I mean, think about even Jackson Dart this year. He was booked like QB3, and then a month into the year, he's starting. All these coaches, we want to sit and develop. Well, then they start out 0-3, and then go play the kid. Why we draft him? He's not playing. Eventually, they start playing. So if the Jets draft Dante Moore, even if he's not the week 1 starter, I think he plays most of the year.
Okay.
And I think that he at least has a good offensive line. I think he has currently 2 really good playmakers and a half with Mason Taylor, with the potential to add a lot more in the draft or free agency. And honestly, I'll say I like Tanner Engstrand. I think that's a good coordinator for a young quarterback, especially because this guy obviously was a couple years in too, but this was still a player who's learning. I think he has some responsibility, some percentage, not a lot, but some, in helping Goff kind of get back on track in Detroit. So I think that'll help. Now the backup, this guy's been, like, there's all these veteran guys we talk about, Jimmy G and Kirk Cousins and all these guys like that. If it's Dante Moore, because he's had quotes mentioning this guy, Jets fandom seems to be jumping on Marcus Mariota as the bridge quarterback backup guy. And I think it makes a lot of sense.
Oh, okay.
Because we don't know how long it's going to take for Moore to start. But if you have to play Mariota for 7 or 8 games, or however long, you get a guy who can pick up a playbook quick, a guy who can move. We know Aaron Glenn likes that mobility in his quarterbacks. You get a guy who can still run. You get a guy who generally is pretty accurate. You get a guy who, I know things were a little weird this year, but generally when he had to play in Washington and they had all their big guys healthy, he put up some pretty decent numbers for Cliff Kingsbury. So I don't think he is necessarily, quote unquote, washed just as a quarterback by any stretch of the imagination. And I think he kind of knows what time it is in his football career. And I think that he would be a pretty good, like, hey, here's how you do it. Here's how you don't do it. Mentor guy for Dante Moore. Not necessarily like a babysitter kind of thing, but that seems like a guy where if you just watch how he goes about being a quarterback and having like listened to a bunch of guys in Tennessee talk about how he handled coming into the league, Mariota seems like a good guy to have around Dante Moore. So I think that's my 1-2.
So you go in the full Oregon quarterback room.
I am going the full Zachary Byrne. Okay, we need to get a few offensive coaches out of here, possibly Charles London. Again, Charles London's been in the league for 20 years. But he couldn't make Brady Cook good. I'm sorry.
But he's probably going to get fired.
He probably is. But
the Jets will be making changes. I want to get into a couple of these comments before I get to my quarterback room here. Zachary Byrne asked, what are your thoughts on people saying that players should go back to school to avoid the Jets, but the Raiders are kind of worse, to be honest? Yes.
The Cardinals average making the playoffs once every 10 years, and they've been around 100 years.
Correct.
They're better than the Jets.
It's just talk. It's literally what it is. It's certain.
Jets for clicks.
In the sake of Todd McShay, I think it probably, as someone mentioned in chat, has something to do with Joe Douglas getting fired. Probably a little bit of influence there. In the case of Stephen A. Smith, do I need to go on? Do I need to explain why Stephen A. Smith is spewing?
Does he know who Armand Membu is? I don't think he does.
Does he know who Breece Hall is? I don't even know if he knows who Breece Hall is, legitimately. Like, the man I hate Stephen A. Smith, just candidly, because I'm a Knicks fan too, and he claims to be a Knicks fan. And he, as of last year, was still talking about Isaiah Hartenstein as if he was on the roster. So he doesn't even know the teams that he supposedly follows, let alone the New York Jets. You think he knows shit about Dante Moore? You think he's watched Dante Moore play football? Absolutely not. Anyway, what was
the best when Skip Bayless would be like, not even that I watch, he'd be like, this guy leaps off the tape. I go, there's a 0% chance you are watching all 22 film.
So, Mike, my quarterback room. I knew you were going to go Dante Moore, and I wanted to just. No, absolutely. if I were a betting man right now, I would say that Dante Moore is the most likely of any of the quarterback options this offseason to be maybe not the week 1 starter, but the guy that they're investing the most in. But what if he doesn't declare? Right? There's a world where he doesn't, and I just wanted to explore that. So our mocks were a little bit different. So I kind of took a mock offseason approach on what happens if Dante Moore goes back to school. That's, maybe Jets fans are panicking about that. To be honest, I don't even think that's the worst thing in the world if Dante Moore doesn't declare. I'm not like, I would like him at number 2. I would like Dante Moore, and I like him enough to take him at 2. I don't feel like the world is, the sky is falling. The world is ending if he doesn't declare. And, oh, well, now you build up the roster and you take a guy in 2027. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. But I do think Aaron Glenn wouldn't just sit on his hands and say, okay, well, we're going to roll out Marcus Mariota as our starter, or Jimmy Garoppolo, or we're going to trade for Mac Jones. I do think they would.
He get fired.
Right. I do think they would invest in the quarterback position in the strongest way that they can. So if Dante Moore goes back to school, I expect the Jets to be heavily in the market for and trade for Kyler Murray.
Yep.
I think that there's going to be other teams in the mix. I think that even the Raiders could be in that conversation. The Steelers, if Aaron Rodgers retires.
The Raiders are going to be paying more money to guys who aren't on the run. Geno, all the coaches, Christian Wilkins,
There's a lot of teams that I think will be in the Kyler market, but I think if Dante Moore doesn't declare and the Jets are kind of backed in a corner at the quarterback position, Aaron Glenn knows that they got to win football games this year. They will get a guy who they believe is at least the most proven commodity on the market. Now,
what would a trade package?
I don't expect it to be significant. I expect it to be either a late day 2, probably an early day 3 pick, probably like a 4th round.
That's it for Kyler Murray?
I with the contract. It's the contract that's
even with the contract.
I think the contract is a major, major deterring factor. And I think they'll struggle to I think if the QB market wasn't as thin as it is this offseason, they would struggle to trade him. I just think there's going to be teams desperate for a quarterback, so his market will increase. I don't think it's going to be more than a 3rd. And I know the Jets don't have a 3rd, but they can package some picks and figure out a way to get him.
Running back. I don't know.
For all of these signings and trades, I didn't have actual figures, but I can give estimates on what I imagine it's going to be. Brian said Kyler over Willis. Yeah, I just don't think Aaron Glenn is going to stake his future on 7 starts of Malik Willis.
It would be Fields again.
It would be upside. It'd be an upside swing on a guy that you hope can be something. Kyler is at his peak. I think Kyler's been a borderline top 10 quarterback. I think if you bring him in, at this stage, he's probably the 20th-ish best quarterback in the NFL. And I think they would hope that they can get him to be better than that. That's better than you're getting with Fields and likely better than you're getting with
Who's better right now, Kyler Murray or Aaron Rodgers?
I would say Kyler Murray. like just all things considered, I would take Kyler Murray, even like ignoring contracts. But like, who would I rather have in my quarterback room for 1 year? It's probably Kyler Murray. But I don't. If you say Rodgers, I don't fault you. But yeah,
I still think it's Kyler just because
Yeah,
I don't know how well he's going to age, but I also don't think the Jets are going to keep him around for 10 years.
No, I
So
don't think
don't worry
Kyler's a
about that.
long-term option, and I think that it doesn't necessarily dissuade you from drafting a quarterback. Now, in my mock, I didn't. I thought about it, but there was just no option. There was no. If Trinidad Shameless was in this draft, I would have strongly considered him on day 2, probably maybe in the second round. I would have really considered him, but there wasn't a guy that I wanted to take. So I signed Teddy Bridgewater as the backup before that. By the way, that was my backup choice.
I feel like he wants to coach, right?
There was a report that came out. I believe he actually said it. He said that he still wants to play next year. He is currently with the Bucks. He has, I believe, he crossed over with Aaron Glenn in Detroit, if I'm remembering that correctly.
He did, yep.
He might have crossed over in New Orleans, if I'm remembering that correctly as well.
He did, yep.
There's ties there. I think Teddy makes a lot of sense. Obviously, again, former Jet here, Jets legend, Teddy Bridgewater,
and a nice guy everybody likes,
and a great guy, just a competent quarterback that I would feel very comfortable with as the backup quarterback in my room. And I took him in the 6th round, which we talked about this before, and you were like, I don't know if he's gonna make it there. We'll see.
Yeah, I think he's gonna just Anthony Richardson.
Is he 6'5",
6'7", I think.
Is he? He's 6'7"?
I think he is.
He's insane. Like, he's just a massive. Like,
and he might be the fastest guy in the field half the time.
Yeah, he's ridiculous. He just can't play quarterback. So that's why I'm like, I don't know if he's going to be anything. It's kind of like Joe Milton, a little Joe Milton-y with like.
Arkansas is not exactly Indiana or Oregon in terms of support either, though.
No, they're not. But that's why I'm fine taking him as like a day 3 flyer. If he's there in the 6th, which he was, I used PFF's mock simulator. He was there. I would much rather have Taylon Green as my developmental quarterback than Brady Cook. Sorry to the Brady Cook stands if there are any left. But that's my quarterback.
Brady Cook's mom, I don't know.
Maybe. But that's my quarterback room. I'm going to get rid of one more of these columns to make it a little bit easier to see. But I have Kyler Murray, Teddy Bridgewater, Taylon Green. I'd be happy with that. Like, if Dante Moore doesn't declare and that's your quarterback room going into 2026, I think there's enough competency there that I feel comfortable with the room, and you absolutely have not invested nearly enough to, not want to take one in 2027, which I think would probably still be the plan.
Running back.
Yeah.
I'm keeping Braylon Allen as RB2.
Okay.
I believe in him.
Okay.
I'm keeping Isaiah Davis as running back number 3.
Okay.
Now the top one. Here's the thing. Pure value and football-wise, it makes a lot of sense to keep Breece Hall.
Okay.
And I'm trying to not overreact to, like, a couple tweets, but part of what Aaron Glenn needs to do is get rid of the old regime, how many times have we said get rid of the mope? Is there a bigger moper on the team right now than Breece Hall?
Hey, listen, in Breece's defense, he knows ball. He tweeted out something about Olivia Dean, and he likes her newest album. That man knows ball, okay? Respect Breece Hall.
Like, number 8's looking good. Like, why on earth would you tweet that? You know what that's going to do. You know nobody in this fan base is going to like it. Like, you know that. So because of that, I think if they tag and trade him, which is possible, you then get an extra pick, and you use the money that would have been allocated to Breece Hall, maybe a little bit less, maybe $1 million a year less. Instead of 11 mil or something like that, you pay 10 mil a year, and you end up getting Travis Etienne.
Interesting. Okay.
Now, Jacksonville is really good. He has played with Trevor Lawrence in college and the pros, so it might be tough to leave. But Jacksonville has a lot of contract. Lawrence's contract is going to get bigger going into the year. This is like when the money starts hitting for Lawrence's contract. They got to pay Devin Lloyd. They may need to, I don't know what they're going to do with Brian Thomas, but they need to possibly plan for that. I think Parker Washington gets an extension. Myers just got extended. Jacksonville is going to retain a lot of their guys. This is a very forward-thinking organization that came from the Rams. They don't seem like a pay a running back 8 figures kind of team. But the Jets, I think, need that for a young quarterback especially, too. And I think having Etienne, who, again, saw a team go from the worst team in the league, Urban Meyer, to one of the best 13-4. I think having that going, like that attitude-wise, I think would be better over Breece. Still think Breece is better. I don't think the discrepancy is too huge. And I think it gets rid of the, like, oh, man, I'm upset. I'm not DMing Kurt Benker because I didn't get traded. Like, even if he's a good player, like, I don't think he's going to stop doing that, especially if they're bad again next year. So I think both parties just probably need to move on.
I do think Etienne's gone from Jacksonville. I know they love Bashal Tutin. They love LaQuint Allen. I agree that they have a lot of other places that they probably want to spend internally. I do think Etienne walks. I don't know if I think he makes sense for the Jets if they don't bring back Hall. I agree with that. When you say tag and trade, you mean franchise or transition?
Transition.
Oh, interesting. I wonder if the Jets transition.
Franchise, I think, is too much. I don't think the Jets would consider franchise.
I do think franchise is more than I'd like to pay Brees, but I wonder if they transition tagged him for 11 mil if another team wouldn't just offer him an offer sheet. Like I feel like another team would be able to match, would be willing to pay that for Brees. And I don't think the Jets would want to. I don't think Hall is extended in any way by the Jets this offseason. I'll say that at the start. I don't think he's with the team long term. I think there's a world where they tag him and keep him in 2025. In fact, if I'll just show mine right now. I didn't do anything crazy here. I have Brees Hall. I'm going to put Isaiah Davis as RB2 and Braylon Allen as 3, but they're both back. I didn't have any changes to my running back room.
There's not a lot of separation between those two.
No, I agree. I like Davis more, but yeah, there would be a competition.
14 mils, Brian Glick points out. That's very tough to trade for Brees. So,
I agree. I just wonder if they transition tag him, if they'd even have the option to trade him. But in my scenario, I have them franchise tagging Hall. Now, I don't know if that it actually will be what happens, and I agree 14 million is more than I would like to pay him. I just think if they transition tag, there's a real chance that another team just signs an offer sheet to him. Signs him an offer sheet. So that's why I went franchise tag. I think he plays out that tag. I think they kind of run him into the, not to phrase it this way, because I hope he has a long and successful career, but I think they kind of work him big time in 2026, and they kind of give him a ton of touches, and then they probably let him walk after that. That would be my guess for how the Jets handle the Brees Hall situation. He's only 24, so I think he's going to command a market if the Jets, if the Jets leave him open to that. I think they franchise him and don't even leave it as an option.
Those tweets just get under my skin. So
I get it.
Like he knows what he's. Isn't that what we're trying to get rid of? Is that?
Look, man, he won me some good graces with the Olivia Dean comment today. I don't know what I could say.
Let's look at the receiver room. The Jets have the number 33 pick. I think that pick is for sale. I think they're going to trade that pick. I think they keep 44. I think they move down from 33, maybe get their third back that they don't have because of Hassan Reddick.
Very possible.
So let's say they do that. I think you roll into the year. I think Garrett Wilson's your wide receiver 1.
Okay.
And I really don't think they spend on a wide receiver in free agency. I think you enter the year with Adonai Mitchell as your wide receiver 2.
Interesting. Okay.
Because this team's still going to run the ball a lot. They have Mason Taylor. I really expect big things from him in year 2. So I think there's a chance Taylor is the second most targeted player anyway. So you don't need to, and then you have either Brees or ETN. They could be in there anyway. So I don't think you necessarily need to invest the way that maybe like an offense like the Rams or Kansas City would in a wide receiver where they target them all the time. In terms of the backups, I'm thinking you go and get, with one of those picks, a guy like a Chris Brazzell. I think you get an X receiver, very vertical. Maybe you trade down a little bit to go from 33 to 38, 39.
Okay.
That's where you get him. He's your X receiver and 11 personnel. Him and Adonai Mitchell are basically fighting for targets right there. I think you keep Mechie. I think he showed enough. I think there is to be named, maybe like a Diami Brown kind of veteran depth signing.
All right.
And then I think
you gonna put Mechie ahead of Brown or Brown ahead of Mechie?
I'd probably put Brown ahead of Mechie.
That's why I agree.
And then I think you keep Arian Smith as just special teams depth gunner stuff, and that's your 6. If you keep 6 healthy, that's your 6.
Well, Isaiah Williams as well.
Isaiah Williams would be over Arian Smith. I forgot about him. If they keep 7, it's Arian Smith. He's the 7.
Interesting. So basically you're big. I'm just because I'm imagining how Jets fans would react to this, right? Free agency comes and goes. The only wide receiver they sign is Diami Brown. I feel like Jets fans would not be happy about that. Obviously, we would know the draft is coming. Brazzell, you say, is your top of day 2, right? Top of round 2.
Top of day 2, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. So then you go into the year with Garrett. Honestly, that trio, you're probably playing Garrett in the slot. Is probably what you're doing with that. You're probably playing Garrett in the slot, Brazzell and AD or AD Mitchell, your outside receivers. Diami Brown also rotating in, and then we'll know Mechie and Williams, they'll get there.
This receiver class, though, not only is it thin, but it's full of guys like, I know I mentioned like Jawan Jennings, but I don't think he's coming here. I don't think Alec Pierce is worth $20 million a year to this Jets team.
Okay.
How vertical he is and how they're not really a vertical team. Like paying $20 million for a wide receiver too at this stage when you need to spend so much free agency should be entirely, not almost entirely spent on fixing this defense. That's where they spend heavily. And then I think you draft one of the top 4 picks has to be a receiver. That's undisputed. I don't know if it's Mekhi Lemon at 16 or a guy like Brazel or Casey Concepcion at the top of the 2nd round. But I really am hesitant to pay a lot of the wide receivers in this class. Brian Glick says Sadiq at 33. Sadiq is not making it to 33.
No, he's not. But I love the Sadiq reference because a couple months ago I mocked him to the Jets and everyone got on my fucking ass about it. Like, I think it makes sense. I think there's absolutely a world where it makes sense, but not at 33. I'd be shocked if he was still there at 33. He's going to be probably top 20. He's not making it out of the 1st round. I'd be shocked.
No.
My wide receiver rooms, of course, we got Garrett Wilson. I did spend in free agency. I expect the Jets to be very, 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 I'm looking at my free agents now. I feel like I spent a lot, but I really just expect the Jets to be spending.
They have to.
They have to spend a lot of money here. So there's going to be a lot of guys I brought in as free agents. This one is probably going to be the most high profile, or at least the most expensive. I got him Juwan Jennings, man. Juwan Jennings. That's their wide receiver too. Garrett and Juwan Jennings. You bring back Adonai Mitchell, so he's in the mix as well. I let John Mechie walk. I don't think he impressed me down the stretch, and he's an RFA. I think the tender for like the lowest tender you can give him is like $3 or $4 million, and I don't know.
Wide receiver 5, you take that.
I would. I'm going to go into the draft expecting to draft a guy, which is what I did here. I did end up drafting another wide receiver as well to add to this room of Wilson, Mitchell, and Jennings. Mechie didn't do much for me down the stretch. I didn't bring him back. So
Mitchell.
Yes, I thought Mitchell impressed a lot more than Mechie did. Mechie had serious drop issues, and Mitchell to me, I'm happy with him. If he's one of your 3 wide receivers to start the year. Jennings, I think, is going to be the one where if at the end of this mock projection, I kind of look back and I'm like, maybe they don't have to make that signing.
Especially if you draft a guy, like he's going to have to kick out either him or Mitchell from targets.
You know what? Screw it. I'm not going to do it. If at the end I don't like it, I'll take it out. But I did end up drafting as well. I took Jeremy Bernard in the top of the 2nd round. So that's your 4 wide receivers right there. I like Mitchell. I don't know if he's a long-term piece. Jennings, you're paying, I would imagine, like 3 years, $60 million probably seems reasonable. $20 million a year for Juwan Jennings. I know it's a lot to invest in the wide receiver position.
Brian Glick says Jennings appears to be a diva. He's gotten in a bunch of fights this year.
Yeah, I would wonder.
I don't know if that's fire or just being annoying, though. So
I would wonder how that would mesh with Aaron Glenn. But I kind of went, maybe it's a little overkill with wide receiver here, but I didn't really touch tight end. This way, and I didn't touch running back. You just brought back Brees. That was your big addition there. So you bring in Kyler, you bring in Juwan Jennings, Jeremy Renard. Those are your 3 big external additions for the offense in the offseason. And then the depth guys I had here were Isaiah Williams. I think he's back, and I do have Arian Smith tentatively there. Maybe they draft another guy. Maybe they bring in another vet. Maybe they do bring back Mechie. I don't know. I'm not confident at all that Arian Smith is on the week 1 roster, but
if they keep 7 receivers, he will be, but he's the 7th.
Yeah, at least he maybe showed something as a gunner down the stretch. So maybe he's there. I don't know. But that's what I did. Maybe that's a little overkill at wide receiver, I'll say this. I didn't do the actual contract projections for all these guys. So if I spent maybe $20 million more than the Jets want to spend, I'd take out Jennings, but we'll see at the end.
Tight end remains fairly unchanged for me. I'm going with just Mason Taylor 1, Rucker 2, and to be named late day 3. Tight end is your tight end 3.
Sure.
Maybe I'm higher on Taylor than most, but if we're gonna go and give guys like Wilson and Hall and all this a slide for the bad quarterback play, I think Mason Taylor is another guy who got really the short end of the stick with the bad quarterback play. And on top of that, I think one of Tanner Engstrom's big faults was he didn't include Taylor in the passing game, I think, as much as he should have, even with the quarterback limited. You'd think dumping off the tight end would be one way to mitigate that, but he didn't really do that a lot. So I'm expecting big things from Mason Taylor. Rucker just got extended. I have no problems with that as your tight end room.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think the jury's still out on Mason Taylor, but I was encouraged by the rookie season, and I agree. I'd like to see him in a more stable passing attack, a more stable passing offense with a quarterback that can actually throw the ball. So I'm fine bringing him back as tight end 1 next year. I don't think I think there's scenarios where maybe they add significant assets to their tight end room, but I think Taylor, Rucker, and I penciled in just like Adam Trotman. That's what I put as my
Your Stone Smart variant.
Yeah, as your Stone Smart variant. He had crossed over with Darren Muji in Denver, so there's the Broncos connection there. There's your tight end 3 who could play special teams and also be like a capable enough tight end that if you need him to play, he can do that too. So that's my tight end room, similar to yours.
Yeah, the offensive line. I'm keeping 4 of the starters except left guard.
Okay.
That's the only one, only because as much as I like John Simpson for what he brings and as good as he was last year, I think he took a little bit of a step back. I don't think this is a position where the Jets like pay a ton to get a replacement here. Like, I can't do the AVT dance just because maybe this is wrong of me, but I think the well just got too poisoned with the injuries. Like, I just can't trust him going forward. These aren't like little nicky neck things here or there. This is like pecs and triceps and ACLs and Achilles. Like, these are big things. And what's the biggest indicator of future behavior? Past behavior. Is this guy going to get injured? Well, does he normally get injured? That's what you got to ask yourself. So I'm going to say, I think this is going to be another like John Simpson 1-year stopgap kind of thing. Maybe like a guy like an Isaac Seumalo over from Pittsburgh.
Ooh, I gotta see how to spell that. There we go.
That would be SEUMALO.
Yeah, I got it. There we go.
All right.
There it is.
I think you bring Max Mitchell back.
Okay.
I think this was his best year with the Jets as like that jumbo lineman.
He actually had a role.
He actually did have a role. I think they're not this guy, but I guess you can get like a Chukwuma Okorafor variant as your backup behind Membu. I think you invest one day because they have a ton of day 3 picks as compensatory stuff. So they have like, I think 3 or 4 6th round picks.
Yeah.
This year at time of writing. I think you invest one of them in an interior offensive lineman. I think there's one more, like another like 1-year veteran depth piece for league minimum kind of thing. And I think that's your line.
Xavier Newman. Now he's gone.
Xavier Newman. Yeah. A guy like that. Yeah.
All right. I'll put that down. And then we'll say like day 3. I think that's fair. I'm more in the boat that thinks they're going to keep Elijah Vera-Tucker. So my offensive line I had was the same, but they bring back Elijah Vera-Tucker. They bring back ABT, and he's your starting left guard to start the season.
Real quick, Brian Glick, if they do draft another rookie quarterback, they should draft another guard to develop for the future. Yes, but also this defense just is so barren. Like, you can't the offensive line is a strength, and I get reinforcing a strength, but the weaknesses are so weak right now that, like, if you go, because you don't have a 3rd round pick, if you go out of the first 2 rounds and you don't have like an edge rusher and you don't have a linebacker or a safety, like you gotta do something there.
Yeah, I also had them bringing back Okorafor and Mitchell. It's hard to even say anything about Okorafor because the Jets had incredible offensive line injury luck, and he literally just didn't play. Mitchell was useful enough as that jumbo 3rd, 4th tight end that they were using him as. So whatever, he was your left tackle. But yeah,
he's your Dan Skipper.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I think ABT has a good chance to be back. I think the Jets really, really like him, and I don't want to say willing to just write off all the injury concerns as bad luck because I'm not, because the Achilles is a concern. But man, when you tear both your triceps, like that's ridiculous. That's just like, I'm not that doesn't, if it was like 2 Achilles tears, then I'm like, all right, he's cooked. I can't bring him back. Right. And I don't think you sign him to a long-term deal. But man, I just think the ceiling of this offensive line is so high. If you bring back ABT and he is the guy and he could stay healthy, and you have Vera-Tucker, Fashanu, Tittman, and Membu, and then obviously Myers is the weak link, but maybe you can draft someone, which I did end up drafting someone as well as a developmental interior guy. By the way, Todd Bowles officially will be back in Tampa Bay in 2026. Not a surprise.
I bet they're regretting not promoting Cohen when they did.
Not a surprise given recent reporting, but
he's getting spicy. Did you see? Remember him at the Jets? You barely see anything. He's like, I win all the time over there. I'm like, man,
It's a surprise.
I never saw this with the Jets.
I'm surprised that he's like, I'm not surprised given recent reporting, but I'm surprised that he's back just as a general rule.
That seems like if they went to Baker and it's like, hey, we're 50-50. What do you think? He's like, I like him. They're like, all right. That seems like what I think happened.
So I went Xavier Newman, brought back. I did a full mock. So when you're putting like day 3 picks, I will actually have my day 3 picks, which was Bryce Foster, Kansas center, whatever, just a developmental center prospect there. I'm pretty sure exclusively played center in college. And I did invest somewhat significantly in the offensive line because I agree with, I think it was Brian or somebody. Brian said, I want another interior offensive lineman here because I don't think Josh Myers is someone who should like definitely have a starting job. Now, I didn't draft the center. There was no good center prospect available where I was picking. So I took a guy.
This interior class is very bad.
Well, I took a guy who's a tackle in college then. I'd give me Jennings Dunker. That's who I took in the second round. He was available at pick 30.
No, Justin.
For me. Do you not like Jennings Dunker? He was available at pick 44 for me. I took him at 40.
Where's he going to play?
Playing right guard, and you might play Tippmann at center. That's my thinking there.
They're not moving Tippmann back to center.
I like Joe Tippmann as a center. I have no issues with him playing center long term if that is your plan for the future. I also don't think I'd also give Dunker a shot at center. I think he can play center at the NFL level, and I'm interested to see is he going to be at the senior role? I
actually actively dislike that move.
Interesting. Why? Explain why.
Because so you're taking Dunker with one of the top 50 picks, right?
So I should have said this, I guess, at the start. I traded down because I didn't take Dante Moore at 2 because Dante Moore was not in this class. So I traded down from 2 to 6 with the Browns. I picked up an extra. I picked up a first round pick at 28. Like I took to pick up their other first to do that. Then I
the Jags pick. Okay.
Then I traded down from there and picked up an extra second and an extra fourth, as well as I think a pick next year. So the Jets in my mock had 6, 16, 33, 39, 44, 70, 103. That's a lot of picks.
So is it one of the top 50 picks, though?
One of the top 50, he was with 44, but I also had pick 39 as well that we have not gotten to yet. Would I use that on?
So you'd use with all the holes on defense. I know that you can't fill all the holes.
Trust me, Mike. 6, 16, 39 are all defense, as well as 70, 103, and 178. That's
right, this is a move where you have to first off kick Dunker inside and have him learn a new position because he was a tackle in college. Then you'd have to move Tippmann back to a place. I think he was better at right guard than he was at center. So you have to move him back.
I also want to push back on this. MTO saying Tippmann has to work on the snaps. Josh Meyer was worse at snapping than Tippmann was this year, and nobody talked about it. I'm tired of this narrative that Joe Tippmann can't play center because he had a few bad snaps.
Well, I just think he was better at guard, and then you'd have to move him back.
I think he was good at both. I don't think he especially stood out to me as definitely better at guard. Ideally, maybe I would have drafted a center prospect here, but there was no one here that I liked. I really like Dunker, and I think Dunker could be a really, really good guard at the next level. And I have no qualms about moving Tippmann back. And honestly, if Dunker impresses, Tippmann's your week 1 starting center, and I have no issue with that.
Just that you need to do a lot of trade downs, and you need to do a lot of. I just would not.
That wasn't my thought. Was doing the trade downs. It's just
like if I were to say any part of this unit was locked in, I'd say probably the right side of the offensive line. And then you're adding to it.
Maybe. I think there's absolutely a world where they move Tippmann back to center. And also, Dunker could play left guard. It's not like Vera Tucker is definitely locked in there.
Wasn't he a right tackle, though, in college?
Yeah, he could. Vera Tucker wasn't Vera Tucker a right tackle as well in college?
Vera Tucker had talent-wise as a prospect, too, is a lot better.
But I think Dunker can absolutely play left guard in the NFL.
One other thing, staying on the O-line for just a little bit longer, though, Brian Glick, AVT for a 1-year deal. AVT is not going to take like a 1 year, I'll do you guys a solid deal. You're going to have to commit to him.
I disagree. I think it's a 2-year deal. I don't think any team gives him more than 2 years for AVT.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to give 2 years to a guy with that injury history.
I don't think it's anything. I don't think it's a crazy contract. And given the upside of AVT, I think that's the preferred route. I don't want to bring back John Simpson. I think we're both in agreement on that. I think Simpson is probably gone in the offseason.
If AVT if he does the prove it deal route, I think it'll be with one of those Eagles, Broncos, O-line factory teams. Not with the Jets.
I think the Jets have a really good offensive line, and I think he likes playing here. And I wouldn't be shocked if he's back. In fact, if I'm predicting right now, I'd predict AVT is back with the Jets, just as a guess, not even what I want. I would predict right now, as of January 7th, that Elijah Vera Tucker is on the Jets roster in 2026. But I don't get the pushback about Dunker. I think Dunker's a really good prospect, and I don't think if you have this offensive line right here with that starting 5, I don't think you're locked into Myers, and I don't think you're locked into AVT. So you have 2 potential interior spots that Dunker could start on. Like that, I think that's a good move for the Jets.
If you trade down, I'd like it a little more because you can still I guess it feels a little bit, and I guess I like this pick better because I think the value is great. It feels kind of like when they took Azareye'h Thomas last year.
Sure.
But Azareye'h Thomas was like a top 50 player that fell to 73. Like Dunker, you'd be drafting him kind of in his range. So I think there's a little bit of a difference there.
But I think it's a need. I think it's a need on the roster. And I
think it's like need number 8, not need number 2 or 3.
Like, who says you can't address all of that? Like, I wait till you see the rest of my projection, man. Like they addressed what you're thinking they needed to address.
Right.
Like you'll see.
Let's go with the defensive line, because this is the area I think they need to address more than any other. I got actually downvoted to hell on Reddit the other day because for some reason the combo everybody likes seemingly on Jets Reddit is Dante Moore at 2 and Mekhi Lemon at 16. Okay. That's what everybody wants.
Sure.
And I said, you got to take the best defensive end available at 16. Because so many of the no interceptions, the bad pressure rate, Wilkes looking like, I think it all related to, well, they just can't get any pressure. So I think you need an edge. Okay. And in my mock, this could be a guy, it sounds crazy that he's here at 16. I can explain the mock that I did, and he is here at 16.
Oh, is it going to be Bain?
It's going to be Keldrick Falk.
Oh, okay. I think he could be there. I think he could be there in that range.
I don't think David Bailey would be.
No, Bailey feels like a lock for the top 10.
Now, he only had 2 sacks last year, but 285. He's John Franklin Myers. Big guy, moves around, very strong. Not the best athlete, but seems like a very high floor, Leonard Williamsy, Franklin Myers kind of end. I think the other guy I think Jermaine starts.
Okay.
I think he's the other one. I think that's the kind of edge they want. And then I think these are backups, but they're going to play a lot. I see Will McDonald, obviously, because I think this role might be better for him. And I see not a huge free agent signing like a Kwity Paye or an Odafe Owe, especially if they draft a guy at 16, but maybe like a Boye Mafe.
Okay.
I think ends up being there. And then that's your 4. I think that 4, if Falk is like that, I think you're very happy with that. And then depth, I wouldn't hate necessarily, again, another day 3 guy for depth, and then another like vet on a 1 year. They're going to keep 5 defensive ends. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
And then defensive tackle, Phillips Briggs, boom, boom, easy enough. And then looking at the free agent, I don't necessarily want to draft a defensive tackle for this team right now. I know that like Caden McDonald has gotten some buzz lately, but I'm looking at this. Obviously, Briggs is coming back.
Sure.
I'm thinking more, and this is going to be kind of a blast from the past, but I think he's a little bit better now. You know what? Actually, no, scratch that, because I was deciding between 2. It was going to be Sheldon Rankins.
Okay.
And then I thought, maybe let's get a Glenn Detroit guy, like a Levi Omozariki, who's a Detroit guy.
Oh, okay. Once again, I'm going to need the spell on that one.
Yeah, that's it. That's a tough one.
There's the N in there that everyone forgets.
On Woozer, 5 syllables is tough.
Yep. I
think he's there.
Okay.
And then I think like even like you know what? Can they get both him and I don't think Rankins is going to take more than like a 1 year deal.
Yeah, go crazy, go nuts. Sheldon Rankins.
And then that's your defensive line. Is that not infinitely better than what we had?
Oh, so much better. Significantly better. I would be very. This is you got beef because Falk's a big guy, Jermaine's a big guy. In theory, those should be 2 really good.
You are not running this goddamn ball. I don't care what you do.
On Falk, Johnson, Harrison Phillips, Ozarike, like that is as a run stopping unit right there, and even Briggs, like man, good luck running on them. And then McDonald coming in as your pass rush specialist, Mafe too, rotating in and Rankins. So you're spending a lot on D-line with Mafe, Ozarike, and Rankins, but I don't hate that at all.
I just think that was the big problem this year.
I agree. No, I don't hate that at all. I'm not disagreeing that I'm not saying I dislike that. Especially because in my mock or my projection, I invest a lot in D-line. So Mike,
Brian Sternbeck says not drafting a defensive tackle. This draft is number 1. They have one guy at the top. It's Peter Woods, and if they take Peter Woods like in the top 10, I'm not going to be happy after this year. Caden McDonald in the 20s could be a thing, but he just feels kind of like Tyleek Williams last year, where it's all run stuffing and very minimal pass rush upside. Caleb Banks I like, but he gets hurt a lot, and then a lot of the other guys after that, Christian Miller and got Lee Hunter. It's like they're all Harrison Phillips. So I think you can get Harrison Phillips backups and dice rolls. I think Briggs, is going to keep getting better. The big thing though is the edge room. That's like, I need 2 big name additions, either in free agency or the draft. You could not draft an edge and sign and trade and get Trey Hendrickson or somebody like that, but I need 2 new names in that defensive end room because I can't sit through Brady McGregor and Eric Watts again.
Well, I got some good news for you because when I traded down,
Mike's free agent, you've now exhausted all the cap space. Have I? Who's my big free agent signing?
All right, you know what? I'm going to do this because I feel like people are going to get mad. I'm going to take out Juwan Jennings from mine because I feel like I spent a lot on defense and I'm just pretending I didn't do that.
Yeah, who's my big free agent signing?
We're to do this. That's your room, and maybe Tyler Johnson's back. No, he's not going to be back. I don't know, man. No, someone else. I'm just taking out Juwan Jennings.
Diami Brown.
Sure, maybe Diami Brown because I spent a lot on defense, and I do think I spent. I'll say I spent $20 million more than I should have, and that $20 million is going to come out of Juwan Jennings' payback or his paycheck. Sorry, bud. Juwan Jennings is gone. His defense, Mike. I traded down from 2. I traded down to 6. Alrell Reese was off the board, but that left me. Oh, not with Jeremy Bernard.
Wow, really skinny.
Jeremy Bernard.
You were complaining about Will McDonald, man. Jeez.
I'd copy his name.
Now here's the question. So I'm imagining. So if Arvell Reese is gone, I imagine
if he went to 4 to 10.
Whoever trades up to 2 gets Dante Moore.
No, so Dante Moore is not in this class.
Oh, Dante Moore's not. All right, so I'd imagine that Arvell Reese is probably 2.
I don't even know who the Browns traded up to 2 to get because I just it was PFF's mock simulator. I believe Reese went 4. But maybe you could assume.
Okay, so I'm just trying to imagine because then imagine Jordan Tyson would have been off the board. I'm trying to imagine how Bain gets to 6 here.
David Bailey, I think, has a chance to go ahead of Bain just because of the pass rush upside. Maybe one of the wide receivers, whether that's Tate or Tyson. I think you could argue Spencer Fano.
Fano, I think, goes top 10.
Maybe because Arizona desperately can use offensive line help. Like maybe Arizona takes him.
I think if Arizona, though, like if the Jets go, if it's Mendoza Moore 1-2, I still think that Cardinals go Arvell Reese at 3.
Maybe.
Fano at 3 seems.
Bain was there at 6, so I took him, and then I also signed Al-Qadim Muhammad in free agency. There's the Lions connection there.
To start over Jermaine.
So we'll get to that in a second.
Oh boy.
So we'll get to that in a second. But Al-Qadim Muhammad is the Lions connection there with Glenn. I don't think he's going to cost anything crazy. Probably. I honestly, I saw projections for it because I was looking up. I'm like, what's it going to cost to get him? And it was like $6 million a year for Al-Qadim Muhammad because he's 31 years old. It's like $12 million. I would pay that in a heartbeat for a guy who had I think he had 10 sacks this year. So very happy with Bain and Muhammad there. Mike, I traded Jermaine Johnson.
What'd you get?
I get like a 4th, something like that, 5th maybe. I didn't get a pick this year. It's probably going to be a pick next year. Is just what I had in my mock projection.
Did you keep McDonald though?
I did keep Will McDonald because I do want some pass rush juice. So Will McDonald is here as well. And Mike, remember I said I had another 2nd round pick. I went edge rusher. I took edge rusher in 1st round. I took edge rusher in the 2nd round.
Okay.
And I took Matayo Uyunglele as another guy who I think can absolutely take.
I don't think he makes it to the 2nd round though.
Well, he was there at 39 in my mock draft. So
all right, if he's there at 39, you do that,
correct.
Man.
I wasn't planning on taking that.
Absolutely.
He was there at 39, so I got Ruben Bain. I signed Al-Qadim Muhammad. I drafted Matayo Uyunglele, and I brought back Will McDonald as your pass rush specialist. You got in Bain and Uyunglele 2 big defensive ends who can set the edge. Muhammad is not small either and just had 10 sacks this year. And Will McDonald as your pass rush specialist. I feel very good about that defensive end room. Sorry to Jermaine Johnson, but look, man, he might be cooked. The Achilles tear, that scares me because he did not look good this season.
No.
I know it's his 1st year back, but they were shopping him around at the deadline. Would not be shocked at all if he is shopped around in the offseason. My defensive tackle room. So it's funny that you mentioned a certain name, Mike.
Oh, for God.
You brought up Caden McDonald. I want to fix this D-line. I don't want anyone running on this team. Give me Caden McDonald at 16.
So you're going to demote Phillips?
What was that?
You're going to demote Phillips?
Yeah, I have Harrison Phillips here as well. You could also move on from him. I like Harrison Phillips, but he's not a long-term solution. I'd like him to be back, but in a world where you're drafting Caden McDonald,
if they start the offseason getting rid of him,
no,
I'd be okay with it. But I think I don't think it makes a ton of not that doesn't make sense, but it's like, why create a hole there when you don't need it?
That would be a post-draft move or maybe a draft day trade move. I don't think that'd be a move that you start because you're not like, if you get rid of Phillips, then you're locked into having to draft a run stuffer. So I don't think you should do that. I believe in McDonald's pass rush upside more than I believe in Tyreek Williams' pass rush upside. And he's just such an awesome player. I just don't think he's going to be a bad NFL player. And I think you have him in the middle of your defense. Your run defense is going to be good. So I got Caden McDonald. I brought back Juwan Briggs. He's a starter. And then I signed Tim Settle as like a 3-tech pass rusher type from the Texans.
Is he a 3-tech pass? I thought he's more like a space-eating 1-tech.
Is he? How big is Tim Settle?
He's a big guy, isn't he?
He's 313. I mean, that's big.
Oh, you know what it was? When he was coming out of Virginia Tech, he had a lot of, this is going to sound mean, he had a lot of what they call, quote, bad fat, which was like a gut. Yeah, I think he probably slimmed down a little bit in the NFL.
He had 5 sacks this year. He's 313. That's
okay. I think when he came out of Tech, he was more like more of a.
So that's my defensive line. I think that is just. I invested a lot in that. I think it's just so much better than it is now. Both of our defense.
Okay, so I think we we're back. Oh.
I have no idea what just happened.
It happened for both of us. So I'm sorry about that. It also got rid of Justin's handy dandy power Excel sheet. Sorry about the delay. I guess this is a day we're having technical problems. Sorry for the audio listeners too, but
is that a restream problem?
Right, I think it's a restream thing. Yeah, it did freeze. Yeah, sorry about that.
We got to do it this way. Sorry, there's no other way for me.
Yeah, restreams in one of those moves, man. I'm one of those moods. I'm sorry about that.
All right, well, we're back. We're back now.
We are back. Yep.
That's the D-line. We're back. We're back.
Live television, folks. You never know what's going to happen.
We're here. That's the defensive line.
It happened with both of us, too, so I think it's restream.
Okay, good. I thought it was my internet for a second. I was like, what's going on, man? Weird. All right, linebacker room.
Linebackers.
We're all good. Everyone's still here. Great. Okay, linebacker room.
I'm going to go Jamin Sherwood's one of the starters. He just is. I know fans don't like him. He's going to be here.
Agreed.
I invested both a top 50 pick and a free agent signing.
Ooh, okay.
The free agent signing, this guy's been mentioned a lot. I didn't want to spend too much and go after a Quay Walker or somebody like that. Mm-hmm. Another guy where it just makes too much sense. It's got to be Alex Anzalone.
Yeah.
Got to be Alex Anzalone. One of Glenn's guys, not crazy expensive, veteran guy, plays hard. I think, however, they draft a guy to eventually be groomed to take over for one of them. Maybe even this year. They could bench Anzalone if he's bad in week 5.
Could bench Sherwood.
Or Sherwood. Now, I don't think this guy's not good in coverage, which is scary after this year. But I think he's big, which is what they want. I think he's a good tackler, which is what they want. I think it's Anthony Hill Jr. from Texas. I think he's the pick I get in the 40s. Okay. So my picks right now are the top ones without trading down even really are Moore, Falk, Brazel, Hill. Okay.
We'll say Kiko is the other 4.
Kiko Malago is your 4th, and then beyond that it's practice squad. Who knows? Those are the 4 though. I think Malagoa had barely enough. I think he gets another year.
Interesting. All right, this is very interesting, Mike, because this is one of the few times we are in lockstep because my starting 2 linebackers are Jamin Sherwood and Alex Anzalone. I also signed Anzalone. I ideally would like a bigger Mike-style linebacker to pair with Sherwood.
Whoa, Anthony Hill is David Harris 2.0. That is a mighty big comparison. If he's David Harris 0.5, I think the Jets are happy.
The tackling with lack of coverage, I could see the comparison there. But
the problem is I don't think you could play both him and Sherwood at the same time. I think it'd have to be. I think Anzalone's your coverage guy. Or here's another example, Justin. Mind if I revise my Anzalone pick and spend a little more money?
Oh, okay, sure, go for it.
Let's go with Caden Ellis.
Oh, okay. Is it 2 L's, 2 S's? I believe.
Yep, because Caden Ellis, Glenn knows him from New Orleans.
Okay.
Spent the last couple years in Atlanta, and I believe was PFS number 2 or number 3 ranked coverage linebacker this year. So they're kind of doing what they did with Jermaine and Will McDonald, which is, one guy, barely any juice at all, one guy, tons of juice, one guy's big, one guy's small. Just have these complete opposites. Sherwood's like your downhill thumper. Ellis can move around a little bit, cover well. So I think Ellis might cost a little more than Anzalone, but I think the upside's better. And Glenn still knows him. And they got him, who's a Ricky from Detroit, so it's not like he's leaving the Lions out.
Yeah, totally fair. I'm fine with that too. I took Aiden Fisher as like a day 3 guy too. That's Indiana linebacker, formerly at James Madison. Just one of those day 3 picks.
One of those Signetti guys who followed him.
Yeah, so I didn't invest as much in linebacker as you, which I would love to address linebacker more. I just ended up just the way that the mock fell and the way that the free agency class was looking. I brought in Anzalone as the free agent guy. I would have liked to have added more in the draft, but I didn't love Hill in the second round, and there wasn't anyone else that really stood out to me. So I kind of waited until, the 6th round or whatever, whenever I took Fisher. I do think it'd be nice to have a younger guy in there, like an Anthony Hill that you could develop, but didn't love him over like a Matayo Uyunglele at 39 or who did I take at 44? Jennings Dunker at 44. I would much rather have them on the roster than Anthony Hill. I think you disagree. But that's fine. All right. Cornerback, Mike. What are we looking like?
The starting cornerbacks are going to be the same that we had this year. It's going to be Brandon Stevens, Azareye'h Thomas, and Jarvis Brownlee in that order. Brian Sternbeck, Mykal Walker deserves some credit. He does deserve some credit. I think it'll be kind of a competition between him and Mawagoa for that final spot. So, those three.
I agree. If he's back.
I would say that you use a 4th-round pick or an early day 3 pick on an outside cornerback.
Okay.
To back up one, because I like Thomas as a player. The injuries are just scaring me a little bit.
Sure.
I would say nickel. You could sign a guy, maybe like how about an Emick Robertson?
Oh, okay, yeah. He's
another Detroit guy. I think Brownlee had a lot of stuff that the Jets like. I think a 5th-round pick is adequate value for a guy of Jarvis Brownlee's caliber, but this pushes him a little bit. Robertson can also move around a little bit. He'll be like kind of your Isaiah Oliver replacement. He wasn't great this year with the Lions, but they're not paying him to be the number 1 cornerback like that. And then looking at it, I think this is another like veteran on a 1-year deal kind of thing, like league minimum 1-year deal, and that's your other guy.
Okay.
Because the cornerback room, I'm higher on it than you are because I just thought that when everybody was healthy in the post-Sauce last couple games, like, man, these guys actually got something going. And then Brownlee got hurt and Thomas got hurt and blah, blah, blah. Like, it just felt like what was that old thing? Not Murphy. I guess Murphy's Law. I was thinking of Occam's Razor. Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
Everything that happened for the cornerback room, basically, to the point where there are cornerbacks I could not even tell you who some of them were coming at. And that's not because I'm not sharp on my Jets knowledge. They literally were pulling Keidron Smith, guys off the street. Samuel Womack. So this is to avoid more Keidron Smith snaps.
Well, joke's on you. Samuel Womack is my cornerback too.
Oh, no. So over Azareye'h, you have a guy.
Over Azareye'h. Someone asked, does Tyler Barron make the roster?
Nope.
I do not think so. I'd be surprised.
He's the least likely Muji pick to stay around.
Which is crazy. That's pretty crazy because they gave up another 5th to trade up to get him.
I'm not gonna like sound the alarm because the guy blew a 5th-round pick.
No,
you don't want to.
That whole day 3 was pretty rough, and being the worst of the day 3 picks is not a great look. So I do think that he is gone. Yeah, I guess credit to Mykal Walker. Back to that. There's a chance if he's brought back. I am a little lower on this cornerback room than you are. I do have Brandon Stevens, of course, locked in as one of the starters. I do bring back Jarvis Brownlee, and I do wish I invested a little bit more in nickel corner than I did. Maybe they could bring in Amik Robertson. He's, of course, I feel like he's the type of guy that this defense needs to. So fiery. Honestly,
I think Glenn sees a lot of smaller corner, fiery guy. That's why I think Glenn really wanted Brownlee.
The thing is, Robertson just feels like another Jarvis Brownlee. Like they're kind of the same guy. Like it's kind of the Spider-Man pointy meme. Like they're the same player in a lot of ways.
Hey, if one gets hurt, then there's no,
which is funny because Robertson.
It's not like we're playing Malachi Moore out of position or anything like that.
Yeah, well, it's funny because Robertson also has injury concerns too. But yeah, I don't hate that. You have 2 Jarvis Brownlees better than 1. I did get a little veteran in free agency though, not one that I think you'd have to spend a lot on, but somebody who's quietly had a very good year for the Miami Dolphins. So I'm going to pencil in Azareye'h Thomas as cornerback 2 here, competing with Rasul Douglas. I think Douglas is, even though he's 30, 31 at this stage, is had a very good season for the Dolphins. I think Miami might try to bring him back because they don't really have much in the way of competency in that cornerback room, but I think you can get him for pretty cheap, probably a 1 or 2 year deal. And I think he's a better player than Azareye'h Thomas is at this stage. Now, obviously the plan here is still that Thomas would be your long-term starter and they would compete for the starting job in the summer, but I got nothing against bringing in another guy to compete with him because I don't think he should be given the starting job going into 2026. I think he should probably compete for that job. So I got Rasul Douglas. And then I also took a flyer. You said early day 3 pick. That is exactly what I did. I took a guy in the 4th round Give me Will.
Will McDonald, I saw like
Give me
came
Will
up with the
McDonald. Give me Will McDonald, the cornerback. Honestly, he could drop a couple of pounds and probably play cornerback. But I took Willie the third out of Texas A&M.
I always wondered that. Like, if you put Myles Garrett at cornerback, like how would he do? Like impress man? If he just like beats people up.
I'm sure he could do it. Willie is a bigger, physical, big-bodied cornerback, 6'1", 195 or whatever he is.
Ryan Clark's son will get a shot to claim backup nickel. Oh no!
Jordan Clark
He can claim a nickel if he gets a real job like the rest of us, but not an NFL nickel job.
Jordan Clark got benched for Samuel Womack and Trey Brown in the final game.
In a Week 18 game that didn't matter.
2 players that are older than him and NFL vets who will not be on the roster next year. I think it's a tough look for Jordan Clark.
In a meaningless game when they were down by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. I did not have a backup nickel here, by the way. I'm fine if they want to say Malachi Moore could be that, or another guy who I drafted at safety who we'll talk about in a moment. Maybe they bring in someone else too. Maybe I wish Brandon Echols was a free agent, because if Brandon Echols was a free agent, he 100% would have been my cornerback signing for the Jets, just because you need a guy that can get takeaways. And he could also play the nickel in a pinch if you need him to. But yeah, that's my 5 cornerbacks. Probably a 6th one in that room too. Whoever it would be. Safety, Mike.
Safety. I'm rolling with Malachi Moore as a starter.
Okay.
Up and down, but I think I saw, again, like with Thomas, more good than bad. He just was healthier than Azareye'h Thomas.
Sure.
Safety is tough because the safety class is not very good. I would have loved to take like a Dylan Thieneman or an AJ Halsey or somebody like that.
This feels like such an obvious free agent spot. Like, I would be shocked.
That's what I did.
Safety.
I was looking at some of the big name guys. Like Kevin Byard, probably don't want to come to the Jets at this point in his career. Yep. Brian Cook, probably too expensive. Jaquan Brisker, probably too expensive. Cameron Curl, more like a box guy. And I want like a turnover generator right now.
Interesting.
So I'm going to go to one of our rivals, the New England Patriots, and I'm going to say, let's go get Jalen Hawkins.
Okay. Jalen Hawkins. All right.
Jalen Hawkins, 4 picks this year. Older, he's 28, so it's not like they're going to go. I think last year their problem was they were too young everywhere. I think they were the youngest team in the league, or the second youngest behind the Packers. So veteran guy, fresh off a winning season, fresh off a big turnaround. I think he's kind of got the right mindset. I think those are your 2 starters. Now the backups. Normally I would say Tony Adams is a viable backup level safety, but also I don't want to sign Tony Adams.
Tony Adams also doesn't really play specials. Like, they haven't really asked him to play specials significantly. So that kind of feels like he just won't have I don't think he's back because of that, if anything.
So I'm going to go get a little freaky. I'm going to say, how about I'm coming home? Why not Ashton Davis?
Oh, okay. Fun.
He's not going to cost a lot.
No, fair.
He actually has recorded some interceptions lately.
Yeah.
And that vet min signing is kind of more like a Malachi Moore bounce around Isaiah Oliver-y kind of type. Yeah. So I think if you get that, then you don't need to have 4 safeties on the roster.
Sure.
And I think that's my group. I would have liked to draft a guy, but I think, I think the veteran safety, the free agent market is where you get that ball hawking safety that the Jets need. For lack of a better, ball hawking, and you get a guy named Hawkins. So,
yeah, Hawkins is fun because wasn't he cut by the Falcons right early in his career?
I just like this quote because it's funny. We need to draft a hard hitter at safety. Make him feel him.
Oh boy,
I don't like how that sounds. And there's a very threatening aura, that quote. Make him feel him.
Press half the dark again.
Ashton Davis injured Braylon Allen. Wonder if there's bad blood. Nah, it's football.
It's football, man.
You didn't hurt him on purpose. It was an accident.
I love bringing back Ashton Davis because low-key, that's exactly the type of player they were missing on this defense. And that's saying a lot because Ashton Davis is a fringe starter at best, but they just need someone who can create chaos and create takeaways, for better or worse. Like, he will find himself in the headlines, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. But I do love bringing them back. I did not do that. But I do have Malachi Moore tentatively penciled in as one of the starters. I think you can't add. It's hard to add 2 starting safeties in one offseason. So I think you probably add 1 starter and then maybe someone who could push more, right, for that job.
As we said with the O-line too, if Malachi Moore is your worst starting defensive back, you're fine with that?
Yeah. I'm fine. Well, it would be him, and then also Jarvis Brownlee, I think, would be competing for that. Who is the worst between the 2. I think there's enough potential with both of them, though, that I feel okay enough going into next year with them as starters, especially since both of us invested so much in the defensive line. My other safety, you mentioned him. I think he's a bit more versatile than you give him credit for. Give me Cameron Curl.
Okay. We got a couple member comments I want to point out though. Somebody said Zakee Wheatley or Emmanuel McNeil Warren in the draft.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, my friend, because what pick was this? This was pick number 70 that I traded down with the Browns and picked this one up. Give me Emmanuel McNeil Warren.
Oh, he won't be there at 70, Mr. Fried. No.
In PFF Mock Simulator, he was, my friend. That's all I can do.
Okay, fair enough.
Mock Simulator. So I took Emmanuel McNeil Warren, and that's the guy who I think is versatile enough that if you want to play him at nickel corner, I think he could do that too. So he would be going into the year as one of your backup safeties that could push Malachi Moore for a starting job, possibly even beat him out, and also serve as your backup nickel. So that was my thought with him. And then the fourth guy just brought in was Dean Clark, whatever. Maybe you bring in someone else competing for that fourth safety spot. I don't know. But I think Cameron Curl is versatile enough that I'm okay playing him as more of a, not as a single high safety, but more as like a 2 deep cover 2 safety. While also being someone who could thrive in the box. I wanted Quentin Lake when we did this the first time. I remember I mentioned Quentin Lake as the Rams.
Just got extended though, right?
Exactly. That's why I'm gonna pivot to Cameron Curl, who's another good safety, and I think he would be a good fit for this defense, along with Emmanuel McNeil Warren. So I'm glad that somebody shouted him out. Small school wonder. You don't get many small school wonders these days in the days of the transfer portal and the NIL. So it's nice to see some action represented here, potentially as a top. Maybe top. I don't think top 50 is probably a little bit rich for him, but top 100 for sure. And then Mike, I have a coordinator. I have defensive coordinator. I don't think I told you this ahead of time that we were doing DCs as well. But who if the Jets? I guess this is what you think will happen, but also what do you want to happen?
I feel like what people want is Jim Leonard.
Okay.
The problem with Jim Leonard is I feel like either if Vance Joseph, if he gets hired, that's the end of Jim Leonard. Because either I think he takes Jim Leonard with him to be his DC, or he stays in Denver and he replaces Vance Joseph. And Denver, defensively compared to the Jets, you tell me what's a better defensive coordinator, John. I don't care if you play for the Jets or not. So I think he's out. I think Al Harris, honestly, this is not an attractive DC opening.
Yeah, I agree.
Because people saying Al Harris is going to get much more attractive offers. Even Raheem Morris getting head coaching opportunities. I don't think Jets defensive coordinator is going to be what really pushes him to the top right here. And then even the other tough thing too, Joe Benigno wants Bart Scott. Yeah, I don't even want to entertain that. How can you not want Aaron Glenn as a coach, but you want Bart Scott as a coach? Doesn't make any sense.
I don't know, man.
So it's tough too because a lot of the coordinator guys that I like, they're getting some head coach buzz, like Jim Schwartz, Aiden Durd in Seattle. I thought maybe you let him call the plays away from Mike McDonald. That could be something.
I got a candidate to ask you about, but actually I want to hear your guy first.
And I'm also here's what I think is going to happen. I'm going to bring in a guy you probably never heard of him, or you've heard him very little. His name is Steve Clinkscale.
Oh, okay. Chargers, right?
Chargers defensive coordinator, defensive backs coach, excuse me, as Justin pops out of view right here. His screen is still up, so I'll just explain Steve Clinkscale really quick. He's been the Chargers defensive back coach for a few years, one of the many Jim Harbaugh guys who came over from Michigan, where I believe he was the co-defensive coordinator at Michigan, so defensive backs coach there. I'm only putting, I think it's scale, just
I was just
singular scale.
I forgot how to spell it. I knew it was Chargers.
I'm only saying that because I think of the candidates out there, I feel for some reason, unless he gets the Ravens job, I think Jesse Minter probably gets one more year.
Ooh, you don't think he gets a head coach offer?
I think the Ravens might go get him, but I think the Ravens don't want a first-time guy like dealing with Lamar Jackson and all this right now. So I think they go. Honestly, I mentioned this when we were doing stuff. I think the Ravens would be a great place for like Robert Saleh. You go from Zach Wilson as your quarterback to Lamar Jackson, and then you just fix that defense. Like,
it'd be great for Saleh. You think the Ravens would want? Like, you think that's where they want?
I think so. Minter, obviously, because there's a lot of connections between the Ravens and the Chargers in Michigan, and he kind of goes up there. But I think it's more likely that like Minter stays.
Okay.
And honestly, even like Vance Joseph, because I think Vance Joseph has experience on his side. I think Al Harris is going to get a DC job elsewhere because there are better jobs. Like I think Dallas makes a lot of sense for Al Harris. So it's tough to project guys like that because we don't know what he does really. But I mean, everywhere he's gone, Michigan was always had a good defense, and the Chargers have a good one right now. So, first time play caller, I get it's not what you want, but I'm not thrilled. And Raheem Morris would be good, but I think Raheem Morris is probably going to get a head coach opportunity to go back to the Rams. Like, I wouldn't be thrilled about Jonathan Gannon. I wouldn't be thrilled about some guys like this. Like, who would you want Jonathan Gannon right now?
It wouldn't be my first choice. It would feel it would feel Wilkes-esque, although like the Eagles defense with Gannon was very good. So
so I think that's poaching from a very successful defense.
Yeah.
And I know that he doesn't have experience, but you know what? Steve Wilkes had experience and it didn't work out. Engstrand had no experience play calling, and we like him. So maybe they need some new blood here.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I've seen Clinkscale's his name mentioned before. You mentioned, and he's also that's never mind. So that was the other I was talking about. I've seen that name mentioned before. I think that's a good choice, and I think you're right that if Mincer doesn't get a job, maybe he doesn't see a path to a DC job there, and he's able to move somewhere else. I did go, so I'm going to have like a backup option here, right? I'm going to say this is the guy that I think,
really quick beforehand again with Gannon. Gannon had some awkward moments. Yeah, he didn't have a lot of fire in his gut.
Yeah, who cares though?
Liam Cohen did too. How's he doing?
Liam Cohen did. Ben Johnson did too. Like people were making fun of him.
Sirianni,
coaches are weird. Like coaches are weird people. They're obsessed with the sport. Like I think. I'm going to go with a vet name here, but I'm going to have a backup just in case because like you mentioned, I don't think it's the most attractive defensive coordinator position, but I do know that Aaron Glenn is good friends with Raheem Morris.
Okay, yeah.
And I know he's getting head coach opportunities. I don't think he gets an offer. I would be.
You don't think he goes to the Rams?
He could go back. Well, that's if Shula is hired, right? Is Shula going to get hired?
What if he just does like senior defensive assistant and then slides in when Shula leaves?
Good.
Honestly, if I'm Raheem, I might do that than go to the Jets. Or if you're bad,
rather take that than a DC offer from his good buddy Aaron Glenn. I don't know.
Well, because think about this: what if Aaron Glenn gets fired and then you got to bounce around again, or you can go to a team that's going to be good every year and then you have a ready-made promotion whenever it's there for you.
Depends how much he believes in his good buddy Aaron Glenn. That's what it depends.
I'm sure he likes Sean McVay too. So
I'm sure he does. Well, my backup option. So that's going to be if Morris is willing to take the job. I'm happy with that. I think that's an upgrade from.
If we're doing backups, you could put Jim Leonard in for me. I just think it's so. Like, I think it's more likely Raheem Morris is the DC next year than Jim Leonard.
I agree. I don't think Leonard is. I know Jets fans would love that. I don't think that's
he's the assistant head coach too. That's a big,
like he loves being in Denver right now. I think when does he start getting head coach interviews? That's the real question to me.
Now? I don't know. Like
it might. I mean, if Josh McCown could get head coach interviews and Davis Webb is getting head coach.
What I think would happen, like let's say hypothetically the Jets figure it out. I think what would happen, let's say they go win 12 games and the miracle of all miracles happens. Yeah. And they hire like Jim Leonard. Him and Tanner Engstrom are both gone immediately.
Possibly.
That's the tough part.
Yeah, look, that's a good problem to have. I'm not worried about getting coordinators poached. If the Jets get to a point where their coordinators getting poached, I am very happy with that. My backup choice, though, and honestly, you could put this as a guy who I'd want just as much as Raheem Morris, because I think there's something to hiring a young guy. I think there's something to not bringing in another retread, especially when you just
scale is 48, by the way. Does that count as a young guy?
I mean, he's never been a coordinator, so yeah, like he is somebody
coordinated in college, yeah, but not at the
NFL level.
Not in the NFL.
I'm going with a super young guy. I'm going with a guy who would be one of the youngest coordinators in the NFL, also a New Jersey native.
Justin Fried, no,
not Jersey native, absolutely not. Give me Christian Parker, who is currently the Eagles defensive backs coach and passing game coordinator. Cross paths with Darren Muji in Denver when he was their defensive backs coach. He's been with the Eagles the last 2 years. They run a lot of man as well, which I think is something that when Aaron Glenn's looking at guys to bring in and a scheme that he kind of wants to run, I think they want to, especially the way they built this roster, they want to bring in guys who can be predominantly man heavy and press man heavy when it comes to their corners. And I think Parker did that a lot in Philadelphia. Only 34 years old. And he's not going to be 35 until December. He just turned 34. So he'd be one of the youngest coordinators in the NFL. But, man, that's a swing for upside. And look at what the work that he's been able to do with that Eagles secondary with Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. There's a lot to like, I think, about Parker. So if you want to go the veteran route, I'm happy with Raheem Morris, and I think that's reasonable. If you want to go the younger route, I'm happy with Christian Parker, and I think there's a very real world where he gets an interview with the Jets and makes a really good impression and could be the DC next year.
I'm happy with my offseason, and maybe Darren Muji's job isn't that hard.
Yeah, this was easy, man. This was fun. No, what do we think? Do we think that I could have had, like, do we think they would have had the money for Juwan Jennings in my projection? So the big signings, obviously you're taking on Kyler's contract. So that's part of it. That's a contract that you're not going to have.
Ooh, actually, MTO. I might want to revise one of my picks. Patrick Graham.
As my cat comes onto my lap. Patrick Graham is DC would be fun. That's a vet. That's a veteran I mean, look, he goes to these a lot. You were talking about this in Slack earlier. He goes to a lot of these bad teams, but he does a good job.
Like, how many times has his head coach gotten fired and they kept him?
Low-key, wouldn't this feel like kind of the same thing, though? Wouldn't this kind of feel like it might be the exact same thing for him? Like he goes to the Jets, does a good job, and then Glenn gets fired, and now he's
hired a young offensive guy, and then they keep
right.
him.
But do we think I could have had Jennings in here? So the big free agent signing you're bringing in Kyler's contract.
I don't think with Kyler's contract you could. That's
Al-Qadim Muhammad, Tim Settle, Anzalone. So Curl's probably one of your biggest. You're not really spending like Curl and Murray and then Anzalone are the three biggest moves.
You're spending like every dollar you got, though, if you do this. That's the thing.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe, I mean, like I didn't really have a quote unquote big free agent signing. It was like a lot of like high tier role players.
ETN is going to be at least 11 million.
I mean, financially though, like you're going to commit 10 million a year to ETN. It's not like 20 million a year for Jennings.
Yeah, your big signings would be ETN. Sayamalo is not big, but it's
Caden Ellis probably.
Caden Ellis and Jalen Hawkins. Those are the ones where, and it's not like big. Like Hawkins isn't going to be 14 million a year. What's Hawkins get? Like 10 million a year, maybe something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
don't want to like Bayard, but I just don't think timeline wise it fits.
Yeah. All right. Look, I'm happy with that. I think we did a good job. Let us know in the comments. Please let us know which mock projection you guys like more. Look, I would love.
I think part of it too is like I have Dante Moore. You have most people want more, so they would lean that.
Mine is going to be under the assumption that Dante Moore does not come out and is not in this draft, and as a result, you get the trade down and stockpile more assets and more picks and stuff, which is kind of what I did. I certainly think, man, this D line, bro. I'm so happy with that defensive line. If anything, if I could hang my hat on anything, I think I fixed the defensive line.
Well, I think I fixed the defensive line too without having to move around too much. Falk at 16, like I know the receivers there, like 285 that quick.
Yeah.
And it's not like Shamar Stewart where he never got any sacks. Like I think there's a little.
I forgot you brought Mafe in too. Mafe's another free agent signing for you. So yeah.
How much you think he would get? I don't think it'd be too much because he had a down year this year.
I think he's getting at least 8 million. Like edge rushers, he's getting at least 8 million a year, maybe.
And
more.
then you get two.
I think Al-Qadim Muhammad's cheaper than Boye Mafe because he's just older.
And then your starters are the edge setters, and then you get the speed guys for passing downs. Like I think that's
no, I do like that. I like that. All right,
Russell's a rookie. I know he gets hurt a lot too, but like
that's a fun upside swing.
You don't have to like start him right away too. So
I love how we both went Anzalone at first, and then we both took one Lions defensive lineman.
yeah, I guess, yeah.
Well, he's gonna bring in one of these guys. He's bringing one of these dudes from Detroit. All right, man. I'm happy with that though.
I'm happy with mine.
This was a very fun little experiment.
Oh boy, we got more connectivity problems.
Bro, what is wrong with Restream?
I wish I knew, man. I wish I knew.
It's
both of us today. So yeah, apologies for making the stream look as hot as it did, but
that's annoying as hell. All right,
that's annoying as hell. So yeah, we apologize for that. Blame the technology here. Sorry
before the government censors us again. Before the Restream government censors us.
Before the anti-Jets media
they're
down all these positive thoughts. Yeah. And they say, "Oh, the Jets are the Jets and should aspire to lose forever, like they always do."
Stephen A. Smith put in the call. He shut us off. Todd McShay put in the call. He shut us down.
One of his media. Joe Douglas was the best, like make buddies with media guys.
Yeah,
everything. He's still getting like, "Oh, it wasn't his fault." That's still happening.
Everyone except Manish.
Everyone except Manish. Well, I think we know why.
Yeah. Anyway, we got final.
Only the Jets beat. Only the Jets beat.
You got any final thoughts before we sign off, Mike?
Dante Moore, please declare if you know what's good for you.
Yeah.
Or be haunted by the spirit of Matt Barkley and Drew Aller and Quinn Ewers, who lost a ton of money.
Yeah. This is fun, though. We'll be back next week. Obviously, no stream probably on Sunday because the Jets season is over. So we're going to enjoy some real football and watch the NFL postseason. We'll be back next Wednesday talking more things Jets. Probably maybe getting into I kind of want to do an episode where we do like a stay or go for a lot of Jets players. Maybe not the whole thing because
go for everybody.
Go for pretty much everyone. Brees could stay. Brees could stay. Everyone else can go.
That's like that reminds me. Just everyone's go. That reminds. There was an old 30 Rock where Alec Baldwin was complaining about how I was like, oh, my shows are all really bad now. And they had a game show called Homophone. And the guy was like, scent. He's like, oh, it's a nice smell. Yeah. He goes, nope, it's the other one. And he just kept doing it every single time for 5 other ones.
You and your obscure references, man. I love
30. It. Oh, yeah. If nobody watched 30 Rock, yeah, that wasn't a big
I know.
show.
I guess 30 Rock's not that obscure. But I didn't 30 Rock. But anyway, until next time, thank you all for joining us on the show today. You can find Mike on Twitter at @BuyMikeLuciano. Follow me on Twitter, Justin Fried. Follow the Jet Press at the Jet Press. I'm trying to get faster every time I say that.
It sounds like you're speaking in tongues, Justin.
What's Donnie from the Wild Thornberries? That's me.
Like Boomhauer, more like.
What is that?
King of the Hill? Don't tell me you've never
seen it. I've not watched. I know King of the Hill. I've seen episodes here and there. I don't know all the characters. Wild Thornberries was my reference there. You know Wild Thornberries, right?
Yeah, I never watched it. And it was on, but I remember Nickelodeon was channel 33 and Nicktoons was 122. Whenever that would come on, I would change it.
Yeah.
And then I watched like Rocko's Modern Life, which is an infinitely better show.
Rocko's Modern Life was good. I like the respect for that. Brian asked, emergency stream if more that gets eliminated and announced he's staying in Oregon. Maybe. We'll see. We're going to probably do some more like emergency streams.
Well, I'd be dead, so we can't stream, so.
I wouldn't put too much into Dante Moore declaring. I think there's a real world where he's not declared. But anyway, we'll find out what happens. You can download the Jet Press podcast wherever you get your podcast. Check us out on YouTube and TikTok. We are also now on Amazon Fire. I didn't meant to tell you that, Mike.
We are. Okay.
We're officially now on that. I talked with the guy who would know that. We're now officially on that, which is kind of sick. Like that's very, very cool. So you can check us out there. Subscribe, like, hit the notification bell. Thank you again to it was MF Chu and Austrian Jet Fan for donating those memberships earlier. You guys are amazing. And again, you're funding our trip to Austria and MF Chu wherever you live. If you want us in your state.
Where do you live? Where exactly do you live? Give me the address.
You can fund our trip to whatever state you live in, if that's something that you choose. But yeah, you guys know what to do. We stream live every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you all for listening to Jet Press Podcast. I've been Justin Fried. That is Mike Luciano. We just fixed the Jets. And we'll see you guys next time.
See you guys before the restream craps out on us really quick here.